Big Sills, happy Monday to you. 29 days until the start of the 2023 National Football League season, because that's when training camp for the Eagles starts and many other teams in the NFL. 29 days. That's incredible. 29 days, man. Looking forward to it. I mean, we are packed. Believe it or not. You know what's funny? The content in football, it's one of the reasons why I don't do like the national sports show. Because nobody gives a shit about most of the sports nationally anymore. I call it filler. Baseball, basketball, and the rest of them, hockey, World Cup, filler. In our country, the American pastime is now football. It's totally one of the reasons we don't do the national football show or the national sports show. Because I don't really care it, nor do you. Do you know how many times I see in chat rooms or I see and listen to other shows, they're talking about something completely innocuous to what they want to hear because most of the time it's about football. And the hosts are talking about something completely different. It's crazy. And you don't really serve your audience doing that. And then, hey, JM, I'm going to give JM a nugget here. And I can't believe nobody in Philadelphia has picked this up. Zero. JM, I'm going to give you a nugget, another nugget. You see, I happen to think, and I was just talking to Tone, I go, Tone, do you watch like award shows? And he's like, I really don't. Actually, I thought the Oscars was probably the best Oscar show that I've seen in 15 years. Even my wife enjoyed it. And my wife and I and my daughter last night were watching the BET Awards. And to me, I think that's a huge award. Let me just put it to you this way. They honored 50 years of rap music, hip-hop music. And I just thought, and I think what the majority of those folks did with that genre of music and created a new sound, it's like Picasso. It's like Michelangelo. When you can make a new sound that no one has ever heard before. Can I tell you this, Tone? I don't know if any of you guys agree with this, but to me, rap music's country music. It just sounds different. Or storytellers. I was trying to explain this last night in talking to my daughter about it. I'm like, dude, country music and rap music they're basically the same thing. They just sound different. Storytelling, having a good time, your boys, all of that. Okay? It's storytelling. And last night I'm watching, and I saw something that not even the Philadelphia sports media picked up. Congratulations, Jalen Hurts. You were the BET Awards Athlete of the Year. Kudos. So JM, now you got this was Athlete of the Year. Not Football Player of the Year. Athlete of the Year. I didn't see it in any newspaper or no one spoke of it. Nobody had it on a website. Jalen Hurts was the BET Awards Athlete of the Year. Congratulations, dog. I would totally want that award. That's really dope, man. I mean, in a show where they were honoring 50 years of hip-hop, then there was my boy Luther Campbell. Man, what great times I had with him and Jerome Brown. And I'm going to dedicate this show today. 31 years ago yesterday, Augusta and Jerome were killed in a car accident in Brooksville, Florida. And I'm going to dedicate our show today and all of us to the memory of Jerome Brown. 31 years. And there was Luther Campbell. He was up there with Trick Daddy, and I was watching it, and I'll tell you a story, man. I text Luther, too. He's going to send me a Luke Records hat so I can wear it on the air. I can't wait to get it. And here's the story, Jerome Brown. When I first got down to Miami, Jerome took me around. And I've told, some of you guys know the story. Okay? JM, Carson Wentz has the Burt Bell Award too. Don't mean to dismiss it in any way, but your boy Wentz owns one too. So I get down to Miami, and some of you know the story. Jerome goes, put your Canes shirt on, Canes jersey. Why? Because we going in the hood. I said, that don't scare me. I don't give a shit. I don't need my jersey. He goes, you'll need it in Overtown and Liberty City. So he takes me down there, and who do I meet? First time, I meet Luther Campbell. He goes, Luther, this guy ain't white. He's Italian. I want you to – and he started laughing, and that's where my friendship began with Luther Campbell, working security at his events down in Coconut Grove or what have you, wherever he was in Seabreeze and all around the area in Miami, constantly getting arrested because he was one of the first guys to do it. There I was working security, and NWA's on with him and all them great bands back in the day, Sugar Hill Gang. And dude, what a growing up experience being around all of that, being around Jerome, being around Luther Campbell. And when your guys, the Eagles, drafted Jerome Brown, because Luther had taken care, because he took care of so many of us, including me. And when Jerome got drafted by the Eagles, he bought Luther Campbell a BMW 325, I think, something like that. Luther's never driven it. It's in his garage. It was a gift from Jerome. And he goes, you know, I've never driven it. I think he drove it while he was alive, but I think after he died, he never drove it again. And he keeps it in his garage. Luther Campbell's not just a legendary rapper, but now he's the head coach at Edison High School down in the 305, giving back to his community that he so loves. And I thought of him yesterday. I thought it was so appropriate. There was Jerome in the day that he passed on June 25th, and Luther on stage. Those two guys were synonymous with University of Miami football back in the day. It was really cool. And, you know, I posted something too about Jerome. You know, the heart is always going to remember and always hurt for a guy like that. But, man, now it's just more so about great memories. I remember when they drafted him to the Eagles. He's like, man, a kid from Brooksville going to the Philadelphia Eagles? How am I going to fit in there? I said, and we were all like, just be you, dude. You fit in everywhere. Jerome was like silly putty. He fit in anywhere. Fit in anywhere. And I agree with Rob Ellis. I completely agree. He was better than Sapp, and he was on his way to Canton. Jerome Brown and Reggie, in my opinion, too, and I'll always say this to you guys, if Jerome Brown doesn't die, Reggie White doesn't leave Philly. They would have figured out a way to stay because they didn't want to leave. He would never have left Philadelphia. That defense, I think, would have stuck around for a lot longer. So, again, you know, 31 years ago yesterday, you guys lost one of your legends that you've retired his number in your rafters at Lincoln Financial, the legendary Jerome Brown. Truly one of the greatest players in the history of my program and also your franchise. So we dedicate the show to my friend with a smile. By the way, no crying here, none of that. Just great memories now. Because that's all we have is great moments together. Okay? It's always great, man. So watching all that last night just reminded me of it. God, like I said, man, we got a ton of shit to get to today. And I first want to start off, before we get to the topics, okay, I want to ask you something here. How easy do you think this first game of the year, because we're going to look at the 2023 New England Patriots here. How hard do you think this first game is going to be? Patriots, up at Gillette. Pretty good defense. I think right now, if you open up the books and you look at the point spread, I think it's 5 points now that the Eagles are favored by in that opening week. Okay? How hard? James says won't be easy. Okay? With D-Hop and Cook, pretty hard game. If they're able to land one of those guys, I think it'll be more difficult. They land both of those guys, could be an issue. Could be an issue. Haven't won in New England since 15. Didn't know that. Week 1, we are steamrolling the Patriots, says 11. Judon is a monster. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. The Patriots always struggle in the first few weeks. Actually, they run the ball. Actually, I will say this to you, JB. New England runs the ball well, and they got a pretty good-looking young running back up there. That was one of the shining moments, and we're going to get to that here in a minute. Okay? Stun. I agree. I don't believe it's going to be a walk in the park. Let me give you my synopsis of I watched some of the film last night and yesterday, and here's my takeaway from the Patriots, and you tell me how this lines up against Philadelphia in week 1 here, just before we get to the topics. Now, if you take everything into context here, the Patriots are coming off 2 straight losing seasons. They are completely in uncharted waters here. 2 straight losing seasons. After 2 decades of dominance. 2 straight losing seasons. Now, I don't know about you, but that's uncommon ground up there for a place that's had massive success. Numerous big wins. Winning big games in big moments. Last 2 years, that has not happened. That has not happened. Belichick is 30 wins away from being the all-time leading winner as a head coach in National Football League history in the regular season. He's 30 wins away from Shula's mark. How important is that to Bob Kraft? It's not a question whether it's important to Bill Belichick. How important is that for Bob Kraft, the owner? You're 30 victories away. I'm sorry, but I don't see 10 wins this year. So you're talking at least 4.5 years away. I don't think he touches it. 30 wins? Dude, you're 4.5 years away from getting to Shula. So if you're Bob Kraft, that record is a non-factor in what his tenure is going to be on whether or not you keep him at the end of the year. You think a guy with that kind of success, remember, he had success prior to Belichick showing up. He went to a Super Bowl with Parcells. He's going to make a right hire. It's a great organization. Okay? It's a great organization. But at the end of the day, how important is those 30 wins to Robert Kraft? I can't think they're that important. Not when it comes at the expense of having a team that's competitive in a very tight AFC East. I think this is a big year for Bill. Could they fire him? No, but they could push him out. How would you push out a legendary coach like Belichick? How would you push him out? How would you push him out when we're talking about a guy like Bill Belichick? How would you push him out the door? You're fired? No. You got to find a really great replacement. Somebody like Jimmy Johnson. Would you go to Sean McVay and have him come up and give him total autonomy to the team? Somebody young like that? That's something there that you could sell that to your fan base. We're just moving in a different direction. Okay? So you have to hire somebody That's going to be, you just can't hire Billy Joe nobody. Nobody's going to buy it. Jim Harbaugh. Okay, Jim Harbaugh. I like that, actually. That makes sense. 30 wins from Shula? Dude, that's 5 years. Absolutely no way they're going to wait another 5 years of losing just so Bill could get his number. I think the change in OC is going to be good for the Patriots. Bill O'Brien, he's back calling plays. He was there with Brady when they were winning a ton of games. I think this is probably the biggest offseason move that the Patriots have made. That's the biggest move that they have made and probably the most troubling move for the Eagles. Because at the end of the day, Bill O'Brien versus Sean Desai, funny, isn't it crazy? Matt Patricia is also going to be in the building helping put the defensive game plan together against New England. So he's going to know Bill O'Brien's his tendencies. I think that's critical. You want to get out to a great start if you're Philly. Hey, let me underline this. Is Philly the better team? Absolutely. Top to bottom except for special teams. And maybe defense. But at the end of the day, New England's got superior coaches to you. Superior. It's not close. Experience, Super Bowls, winning, guys in right positions. It's not close. Not close. So that could be a problem in schematics. And can I tell you why it could be a problem for the Eagles in week 1? What is the most important thing? What do you think the most important thing is for the Patriots against the Eagles in week 1? What do you think the most important thing is? Bill O'Brien, Belichick. So you got Bill O'Brien and Bill Belichick that you have to scheme against. That's not an easy task. Okay? And they have the advantage of special teams. What do you think the number one objective is for the Patriots in week 1? What would you think it is? What would be the objective against a team that is superior to you? Okay? We're looking, before we get to the topics, we're looking at the Patriots here. We have 2 new coordinators. It will take several weeks to be as smooth as last season. Don't let Hurts run, trying to stop Jalen. No. Guys, if I'm the New England Patriots and I'm Belichick, I want to make this a fourth quarter game. Whether I'm down 7 or I'm down 10, I want to get into the fourth quarter and be close. Perfect world, have a lead. You've got to make this a 4-quarter game because you could see, I easily could see the Eagles getting out to a 14-0 start. And that would be devastating to the Patriots' chances of winning that game. Got to create extended drives to keep the offense off the field. Correct. And again, like I said, you get some 3-and-outs in the first half, and you all of a sudden have a struggle coming out of halftime, and it's a fourth quarter football game. We all know this in the NFL, anything can happen. Anything can happen. So you want to make this thing a fourth quarter football game. Okay? Get it into that fourth quarter. Because what Tone said is going to happen. You see, for me, if I'm the Eagles, I'm going to run the ball as much as I can, and I'm going to try to go on these long, extended drives. Here, I'll say this to you. If the Eagles have 10, if they have 4 10-play drives or more, that game will be 35-14. It'll be 35-14. It'll be like a snowball running down the hill. You can't, it'll be like a boulder or a tidal wave. You can't stop it. Agreed, the better team doesn't always win in the NFL. That's how you do it. You get them into the fourth quarter, creating turnovers, pressure. Okay, yes. They can't dominate the Birds O-line. I don't know about that. We're going to look at that right here. Their running back. How do you say that kid's name? Stamona? Ramadir? I thought he was pretty good last year. You look at him on film, he's one of the bright spots on that team. What's the one thing the Eagles struggle at? Stopping the run. And that'll be tested immediately. New England's going to run the ball at the tackles. They're not going to try to get out wide. They're going to run right up the middle. New England is notoriously big, and their offensive line have always been. The challenge will be for the Eagles' defensive tackles. Okay? 5-star goes, that was last year. This year, you're less experienced. You got one guy who played a little, and you got another guy who didn't play at all yet. Dude, before you, see, like somebody would make this comparison here. Well, I learned how to swim on YouTube. Have you jumped in the pool yet? No. Oh, okay. Well, let's see how it goes. Cosmo, thank you. That kid Stevenson's good, man. He's a good-looking ball player. And of all the things on offense that I saw last year that stuck out, he did. How you doing, Maniac? What up, brother? Okay, I mean, to me, he was one of the bright spots. Here defensively now. Defense is very good. Hey, how do you say this kid's name? U-C-H-E? That kid Josh, U-C-H-E? I'm sorry. I don't really keep a tab on him. He had 11 and a half sacks. And the guy Judon on the other side. So you got two dudes that are pass rushing demons? Wow. Okay. That means they can get after the quarterback. Who is this guy? This guy, Josh, U-C-H-E, had 11 and a half sacks. He's a pretty good ball player. The Eagles gave up 158 yards rushing in the Super Bowl. As far as I'm concerned, that defense still has to prove they could stop the run, which they haven't in 2 years. Okay? Which they haven't in 2 years. Josh O'Shea, thank you so much, Dank. Where'd he come from? 11 and a half sacks? Dude, that's impressive. So now we found out this. The Patriots can rush the passer. They can run the ball. Okay? Gives them a fighting chance. Like I said, make it a fourth quarter football game. Make it a fourth quarter football game. Here's something, though, that I'll say to you guys, and I believe this. Man, they got a small secondary. If I'm the Eagles, man, A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert, in my opinion, how do you defend that? Dude, I don't believe that they have a defensive back over 5'10". They're little dudes back there. And when you got a guy like A.J. Brown running around, man, I don't know. And then you got Dallas Goedert. I don't see it. I just don't see it. They're not very big in that secondary. And I think that's going to be a problem for them and probably why their defense is not as good as it's been in the past in New England. Here's something else, too. They got to get consistent and some consistent play at the quarterback position. Bailey Zappi and Mac Jones can't be flip-flopping like that. When you get flip-flopping like that, you have no continuity and you can't build it. You got to stick to something. And then you got to die on the vine with it. Because what happens is you create uncertainty in your offensive approach. You know, Bill O'Brien was brought in for Mac Jones personally. This is going to be a year of Mac Jones. That was his offensive coordinator at Alabama. There's no coincidence of that. And why they overpaid him. They're paying him over $3.5 million to be the offensive coordinator in New England. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't be shocked one day if Bill O'Brien may be the head football coach. He had a winning record with the Texans. It wasn't like he sucked down in Houston. Dude, he was winning ball games and division titles with quarterbacks named T.J. Yates before he got to Deshaun Watson. This guy was winning playoff games with T.J. Yates as his quarterback. He's not a bad coach. He's just a poor coordinator. I mean, he's just a poor offensive talent evaluator. They asked him once they blew out the general manager there. They asked him to be the GM of the team. That's not what he does, Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien's an offensive play-calling head coach. That's what he does. Chuck goes, Mac Jones is worse than Daniel Jones. I'm going to get to Daniel Jones later in the program. I don't know about that. Here, Chuck, I'll ask you this. Do the Giants have a deep passing game? Do the Giants have a deep passing game? If you were going to chronicle the year last year under Brian Daboll, would you say that's an air-it-out offense? Or would you say that's a dink and dunk, quarterback sprint out, break down the perimeter, get out in the open, let's see your athleticism? That's not an offense. That's a strategy when it comes to, hey, Daniel, when the play breaks down and it's a jail wreck and it's everything's falling apart, get out in open space. That's not really a strategy. Okay, that's not a strategy. The New York Giants don't have a deep passing game. The Patriots kind of do. Like last year, do you remember any game where you watched Daniel Jones go like this? Man, that guy was throwing the ball down the field. I mean, it was unbelievable. I don't remember that game. Okay? And I do think Mac Jones is better than Daniel Jones. I do. I think he's better. I just think personally, Daniel Jones last year got better coaching. Matt Patricia was Mac Jones' coach last year. This year, it's Bill O'Brien. He's going to be so much better coached. And I believe he's going to look better. Here's where I think the Patriots are roster-wise. I think they got around the 20th best roster. I don't think it's over the top. They've got some really fine ball players in certain places on the roster, but I wouldn't go like this. That's one. How about this? Would we not look at New England and go like this? That looks like a normal roster that's been up there for 25 years. The only difference is Brady's not there. That's the only difference. When I look at the New England roster, the only thing they don't have is Brady because it looks like the same shit to me. Checkdowns, functional wideouts, decent tight end, pass rushers, and good corners. I don't think they have the best corners. Okay? I don't think they have the best corners. But when I look at New England, I go, I don't know. I've seen the same team there for 25 years. Only difference is Brady's not there. Okay? So it's just Brady's not there. So, I mean, look, I think they're going to have their third consecutive losing season. I think they have really good coaches. But when I look at the Patriots, I don't know. They're not, I don't see anything special. They're just, that's not a special roster to me. There's a couple special guys on that team, the pass rushers. But when I look at the Patriots, do you guys see anything special about that? Now, opening week, it's Brady night. A lot of people are going to be amped up. I get all of it. Brady's coming home for the first time, and he's going to be in the building as a Patriot. He's going to be supporting everybody. So there's going to be a lot of emotions. I get it. But I just think you got to be patient if you're Philly. Be patient. But put them away early. Make them know immediately, like Khabib. Put them in a rear chokehold. Get them out of there. There's no reason to keep your opponent around. when you're the dominant guy in the octagon. The Eagles are the dominant guy in the octagon. Choke him out. Choke him out. Stamp him out. Keep your foot on the pedal. I love teams that keep their foot on the pedal. That was one thing that you loved with the Eagle approach last year. You know, I always get asked the question, why do certain college coaches, excuse me, why do certain college coaches run the score up? Why do you guys think certain coaches run the score up on teams? Now, in the NFL, it's different because points scored is part of the tiebreaker process, so you want to get as many points as you possibly can in the NFL. But why do you think college coaches are consistently telling their guys never let off the gas pedal? Why do you think they teach them that? They teach them that. Why? Because what happens is if you keep your foot down on the gas pedal, no matter what your opponent is, whether he's in your conversation as being as talented as you or being less talented to you, you don't let off the gas. And I thought that the Eagles a year ago completely knew how to put the gas pedal down on people, and they ran people out of their own stadiums. Okay? What you're teaching people to go full go all the time, and if you can't stop it, that's not a you thing. That's a you on the other sideline thing. Kill them. Put them out of their misery. Put them out of their misery. And you could do that to that New England team. But if you do it early, I think you could put them out of their misery. Because I don't think they have comeback capabilities. There's not big play guys on that team. They're going to methodically try to beat you. And they're going to methodically try to do things to you defensively to get you off your game. This game in week 1 is going to come down to this. Can the Patriot defense do enough to confuse the offensive approach in week 1 of the Eagles? Remember, they don't do any exhibition football. There's not going to be a ton of practicing. Personally, that's a way you catch a team. Do I think that? I do not. If it was any other how about this? If that was a quarterback like Dak, I personally think that they could lose that game. But Jalen's not going to allow that because that's not how he is. Because you know why? Jalen doesn't have to throw for 375 yards in that game. If Jalen Hurts throws for 90 yards in that game and he rushes for 111 yards and they put up 250 yards rushing, and it's not really, quite frankly, you're never going to hear me go like, and they beat him 31-14. You're never going to hear me on a Monday go, he was terrible. Because you know why? That's not what the Patriots gave him. Jalen Hurts is unlike any other quarterback in the NFL. He is going to go with the weakness of what you are because he can do two things that many quarterbacks in the NFL can't do. You know what that is? Beat you in multiple ways. Mahomes can't beat you multiple ways. Allen can somewhat. So can Lamar. There's very few of those guys. Okay? Okay? All right. So, look, I think they're decent, the Patriots. But I wouldn't look at that as going, hey, man, look, great coaching. They have a superior coaching staff in New England to anything that you have in Philadelphia. Anything, except your O-line coach. The only thing you have the advantage on is O-line coach, and the rest of it you do not have any advantage in any place in coaching. Okay? You have no advantage. So you've got to be cognizant of that. Don't do anything out of hand and put them away early. Don't let that turn into a fourth quarter game. Don't let that get into a fourth quarter football game. All right. So we're going to take a look at some of the teams that the Eagles are going to play in the first quarter poll of the season. All right. I want to get into the topics now. I think this could be a problem for Philly. And I'll ask you out of the top, and I'll look at some of your responses. The Eagle core players: Kelsey, 35. Lane Johnson, 34. Brandon Graham, 35. Darius Slay, 32. Are the Eagle core players too old? You got guys in the mid-30s and north of it. At key positions, you're old. And at other positions, you're inexperienced. Okay? You got two dudes in your old line that are old. What's the famous line? Father Time's undefeated. Father Time is undefeated. Laney Kelsey, 35, 34. Brandon Graham, 35. Fletcher's like 32. Slay's 32. These are your core guys that you've had in that building through the ups and downs of the franchise. Okay? Okay. Steve goes like this. Those old farts were all pros last year. True. How long can you keep going there? You think you're going to duplicate what you did a year ago? Those same guys have also won 4 games in 1 year. So before you start saying they're going to duplicate what they did in 2018, where they only won 9 games after they won the Super Bowl, and those guys were all on the team, except for Slay. Are your core guys too old? There's a reason they went into the draft at certain positions, because they see the back nine of some of these guys. Okay? And some of the other positions, like I said, you're inexperienced. Your defensive tackle position right now is one of the most inexperienced groups on your team. No one's talking talent. No one's talking size. No one's talking about future. You're just inexperienced. Your linebacking core has no core guys on it. And your safeties have 0. You have no experience except for Fletcher at DT. 0 experience in your linebacker position. And Morrow doesn't count in my book because he's a throwaway. Will he make the roster? I really don't know. In your safety position, well, Reed Blankenship was probably your best rookie last year. Okay? He's probably your best rookie because he's the only guy that played. He's the only guy that played. Stu goes false. How's that false? I just told you their ages. What's false about it? So we're either too young or too old, never just right. Quan, I asked the question whether you thought your core guys were too old. You're adding into my question. You're moving the goalpost. I'm not. I'm asking a freaking question. It's about your core guys, not about your young guys. Your young guys are actually not part of the conversation because they have no experience. Or if they do, it's limited. Not true. Not true. Inexperience at linebacker and safety, but cornerback isn't a core position. I just said Slay's 32. Are your core? You think Slay played great last year at the end? Really? I thought he was not very good. Stop lying and stop doing that because they wear the green and the feathers. Stop doing that. He wasn't good in the Super Bowl. He sucked. Mahomes ate him up. Okay? Oh, okay. I got you, JM. I'm sorry. My mistake. Okay? They should have moved on from Slay. No. because still duo-wise, they're pretty good. The Jets have the best corners in the NFL. The Jets have the best corners, in my opinion. I think they got the best. JM, I apologize, man. Slay was nicked up. I don't remember that at the end of the year. Slay isn't a core player. He's been here 3 years. You hear that? 2 of those years, he's been all pro. And he's not a core player. Okay. So you think a Pro Bowler for 2 years in a row is not a core guy? Interesting. I have a different opinion on what core guys are when they're making the all-pro team every year. Every single season that guy has been in the building at the NovaCare Center, he's been in the Pro Bowl. That's a core guy, dude. Okay, that's a core guy. If he's just some dude, then we're talking Slay's a Pro Bowler. After 1 year, I guess he's elite, but Jalen's not. I said he's the best corner in the league. Okay? Being an elite cornerback? Let's see if he turns into Stephon Gilmore or into a Darrelle Revis and he becomes an elite corner. Let's see. I have a different definition of elite. Sauce Gardner's the best corner in the game. Okay? Is he elite? Way too early. Way too early. I use the same formula for him as I do Jalen. Jalen, really a good ball player. Elite? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. 1 year, 15 games, not happening. Not happening. Okay? Howie did a great job retaining both corners. He surely did. And as Tone says, those are premium positions. Here's my answer to the topic I threw at you now. Are the Eagles too old at core positions on the team? I'm going to say no yet. And here's why. You mature later as a offensive lineman than you do as a defensive lineman. If 2 defensive tackles were 35 and 34, they're totally past their best years. But because they're offensive linemen, I think they're only getting better. The problem with Kelsey and Johnson will be when they get hurt. Here's why. Follow me. When you're younger and you have a hurt ankle or a twisted knee or a hyperextended elbow, it takes a week to come back from that. When you're an older guy, it takes 4 weeks to come back from that because your body has been pounded for 10 plus years. And your recuperation from those injuries are not as fast as it once was. So you're out more extended periods of time than when you were when you're younger. That's why when you see some of these guys come back and you're like, holy shit, that guy's coming back from that already? That's why Brock Purdy's injury in San Francisco, he's probably going to be ready for somewhere in the first quarter pole of the season because he's so young. Oh, and one thing for a Niner guy, let me put it to you this way. Do you know what this is for the 49ers this year? You know what's on the table for them? They could actually get to a Super Bowl with a quarterback that they're not paying $1 million to. How insane is that? He's already gotten to an NFC title game making less than $1 million. That's unbelievable. You know, as much as the Trey Lance situation's a complete and utmost failure. Complete failure. This Brock Purdy thing, this is now out there. This is a storyline that kid Purdy could take that 49er team to the Super Bowl making less than $1 million. That's out of hand. And in my opinion, that would cover that entire mess of Trey Lance. And one last thing for my boy Niner on Trey Lance. It's easier to identify when a guy sucks than it is to identify whether or not a guy is good. Always remember that. When you see a guy that sucks, it's evident. It's in your face. There's no getting around it. You know it. But when you watch some of these guys, like Jordan Love, I don't really know he sucks. Okay? Trey Lance, I know he sucks. Zach Wilson, he sucks. Sam Darnold, he sucks. Okay? Like we didn't know Carson Wentz, and nor did you, that Carson Wentz stunk. It took years. Would we not say this? It took at least 5 years to figure out that Wentz was not very good. Dude, it's taken less than a season and a half to not figure out that guy can't play in this league. Okay? I mean, when you go back and you watch Joe Burrow or you watch Justin Herbert, even in their first games, you go like this, wow. When you watch Trey Lance, you don't do wow. Shit, it took me a little. Look at Jalen. We're still figuring it out. Is he going to be an elite quarterback or not? You don't know. One season? I don't know. It's hard to figure it out right now. He's progressing in a place where he's going to get better. And by the way, he's probably on the same career path as Carson Wentz. The only difference is his ending might be different. You don't know that, nor do I. You have no idea how his ending is. Wentz's ending was terrible. When we came to our conclusion on Carson Wentz, everyone went like this. He's not good. But that took 5 years. And JM's Burt Bell MVP award. That took him a second place finish in the MVP, a Super Bowl ring even. 11-2 1 year. 33 touchdown passes one season. And then you came to the conclusion he wasn't good. It took time. It took time. But when you see guys like Trey Lance, shit, like I said, Jordan Love, I don't know. I don't know. But I think if Green Bay would have saw something in him, they wouldn't have given Aaron Rodgers a $150 million extension. If they thought they were comfortable in making the transition from Rodgers to Love, wasn't happening. Personally, I don't see special in him. I didn't think he was awful against the Eagles when he had to come in after Rodgers left, but I just don't see special yet. Okay, I don't. I just don't. So again, look how long it took you to figure out. Look how long it took you to figure out Carson Wentz. It took you 5 years. Hey, you know what's crazy? Is that it took you guys 5 years to figure out Carson Wentz, but you think you figured out Jalen Hurts in 15 games. That's insane. That's like getting halfway through the test. I mean, and going, well, this guy's brilliant. That's like Tone says, hey, just because you put your name on the test, Jalen Hurts is like halfway through the test. And he's doing well on it. And it looks like he's going to ace the bar. But he hasn't finished it yet. Okay? Quan goes, terrible analogy. Terrible take that he's elite after 15 games. Terrible take. Idiotic take. Same guy who thought Wentz was elite. Oh, of course not. After his MVP year, you didn't think he was elite. You know how many idiots in Philadelphia go like this? I never thought he was. How dumb. Your general manager gave him $38 million on a 3-year contract extension. The entire city and organization believed it. Everyone believed it. Not me. Not Quan. I knew it immediately. I could tell when I see a loser when I see a loser. Okay. Yeah, of course you can. Correct. So you outthought Howie. All right. So again, to finish up this topic, are the Eagles core guys too old? Played 15 games in 2021. He was average at best. Dude, that team carried him to the playoffs. He wasn't special. Jalen was the caboose on that 2021 team. In 2022, Jalen was the engine. There's the difference in the 2 years. He went from caboose to engine. That's why he's gotten to 255. 2023, you know what he's going to be? Somewhere in between 21 and 22. That's my prediction. And I think he's going to be more towards the top end of 22. It's not a diss. But look, these coordinators in this league will figure him out too. Keep hitting that kid. We'll find out real soon. We're going to get a great, great lesson this year. In either, watch this, you're either going to be extremely right this year in Philadelphia on Hurts, or you're going to be tragically wrong. It's going to be one or the other. And I know where most of you are sitting. Me? I let the player's performance dictate that, not me. I don't know. Jalen is either going to be, and the Eagles are going to be right, or they're going to be Wentz wrong. We'll find out. Right now, it's great to say, just like you did in 2018, Wentz is elite. In 2023, some of you think Jalen's elite. Okay. We'll find out. Okay. Seals, we know dominant, but not yet elite. James, James, I'm a fan of that take. I'm a fan of that take. Okay? Senior goes, Sills is going to be right or tragically wrong about Hurts. That's funny you should say that, Senor. Tragically wrong? No. No, you have, again, you're not listening. I'm not predicting anything. I said the player's performance is going to dictate how and if we look at him as an elite player. I don't sit here. I'm not predicting shit. I never predicted it. I said, I believe that 2023 is going to tell us a lot. I think he's going to be more at the top end of the 22 season instead of the 21. That's a prediction. I'm not predicting him but we're going to find out how he plays. Again, you guys don't understand how I do my show here. This is not about being right and wrong. This is about the player's production, whether he's great, whether he's elite, whether he performs, whether he doesn't show up, whether he's Joel Embiid or he's Moses Malone. It's up to the player, not up to me. I'm not a fortune teller. You're getting this wrong here. The old farts on IP are the ones that predict that shit. Again, they're the ones that predict that. I go by what a guy's doing, the numbers he puts up, the amount of runs he scores, the amount of yards he catches, the amount of yards he throws, the amount of wins he has, how many big games he's been in. Here's something else to think about. Somebody asked me something about the Eagles in a comparison with the Eagles versus the Cowboys. Here's my takeaway. What do you guys think in the last 23 years has been the complete difference between the Eagles and the the Eagles and the Cowboys? What's been the biggest difference in the two? What would be that one significant difference that you see in both franchises? What would be the difference? Just some random thoughts. What's so different about the Cowboys? And I'm talking on the field. I don't give a shit about marketing, expectation. I don't care. Anger goes Howie. Quarterback, Jerry Jones. Eagles have a separate owner, GM duties. There it is in a nutshell right there, Jeremiah Smeltzer. You are the proud winner of Wheel of Fortune. That is it in a nutshell. Jeremiah Smeltzer, you win the day. Congratulations to you. The Eagles win big games and big moments. They win big games. The Cowboys don't win games. I can't remember the last time the Dallas Cowboys won a significant game. They don't win big games and big moments. Jeremiah Smeltzer, right on top of it. The Eagles have to play Minnesota. They beat the doorknobs off them. They have to win an NFC title game. They take care of the quarterback. Get this. Foles has to step in for Wentz. Didn't matter. There was no, get this. What was great about that, there was no panic. And what else? There was no questioning the moves that were being made. See, in my opinion, the difference between the 17 team and 2022 team is by far coaching. By far coaching. Coaching decisions. Building offenses. Understanding how to move the ball. Understanding how to defend Brady. That defense and its coaches a year ago and your coaches a year ago. I know John McMullen loves Shane Steichen. Who in their right mind thought Shane Steichen is a great coach? Oh, wait, let me get that right. Pill Pop and Irsay did. Congratulations. You now went to a football team that has had more changing of the guard at quarterback and head coaching since they moved to Indianapolis under the direction of the Irsays. Seriously, you thought it was in the right thing to do last year when Hurts got hurt to give Gardner Minshew the same playbook and let him run RPOs. Who in their right mind would do that? Frank Reich would never have done that. Frank Reich would never have said, hey, Gardner, run Jalen's plays. That's stupidity. That's knowing your personnel and not being a plug-and-play coach. Dude, the reason, hey, and look what they're going to try to do in Indianapolis with Shane Steichen. They're going to try to duplicate Jalen Hurts and reincarnate Jalen Hurts in Indianapolis. That'll be a colossal failure. Okay? When you're building an offense and you're building a quarterback, you build the offense around the talent that you have on the team. You know one thing different about Anthony Richardson and Jalen Hurts? Can I tell you what the difference is? Jalen won in college. Jalen won. He was a Heisman runner-up. What did Anthony Richardson do at Florida? He was 51% completion percentage. That guy's going to be an RPO version of Sam Darnold. They're not going to duplicate that. How many times have coaches try to get duplicated because they're on the tree of life of Belichick and they turn out to blow out loud? Dude, you've got to be able to understand what you have in the building and then build the offense and defense around your personnel. Not to sit there and go, well, we're going to put this RPO offense in, and then let's go get Anthony Richardson. You're forcing the issue. Let me say this to you guys. Would you guys agree with me? Hey, Tone, you guys tell me this. Do you think the Eagles are shocked where Jalen Hurts is right now as a quarterback in this league? Do you think they're shocked? Do you think they're, how about this? Maybe not shocked. Do you think they're surprised? You think they're surprised? Remember, this guy wanted to get those 2 first-rounders so that he could go. Dank goes, no. And yet Howie set it up last year so he could have 2 ones to take a quarterback in the draft. But Dank refuses to believe that Jalen Hurts was not brought in here to be the starting quarterback, but a safety belt. Dank refuses to believe that. He refuses to believe that. Or he would have known better that he was not brought in here to be a starter. He never was. He was never brought in. Never brought in for that. But now what you try to do, you try to revise history because you know why? You want to give all the kudos you possibly can. I say that because of his work ethic. How would they have known? Everyone in Philly hated it. Dude, this time last year, June 26th, do you really believe that the Philadelphia Eagle front office thought Jalen Hurts was a franchise quarterback? No way. Their moves in the draft proved it. They had 2 ones going into this previous April draft. Absolutely not. Here's Tone. I think he definitely exceeded their expectations, but in the same breath, not only was he drafted to be a backup, Howie drafted him because he felt like he didn't want to repeat passing on Russell Wilson, and he had to take a chance and take him. Okay? I think every general manager should draft a quarterback no matter what round it is. You never know when you land on Jalen Hurts, Russell Wilson, or Tom Brady. I believe that philosophy too. You never know when you land on Kirk Cousins. You never know when you land on certain guys. How about this? I'll tell you what's even crazier. You guys landed on Carson Wentz. Kirk Cousins has had a better career than Carson Wentz did. Kirk Cousins has probably had the same kind of career. Let's see. Tony Romo's had. Kirk Cousins has had the same career that Drew Bledsoe's had. You can say whatever you want about Cousins. Guy wins 10-plus games a year, puts up 4,000 yards, doesn't have high turnovers. I don't know. Until somebody finds something better for Minnesota to land on, they're going to redo his contract and extend him. You can guarantee that. Can guarantee it. Wentz got a Super Bowl ring. Wentz has a Super Bowl ring. So does Chase Daniels. Okay? Drew Bledsoe won a championship game for the Pats. Those arguments are so pathetic. Okay? So pathetic. Trent Dilfer won a championship game and a Super Bowl. According to your theory, he's better than Dan Marino. Okay? We got a ton of topics to hit on yet. Do me a favor. Please hit the like button. Hour number 2. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Google TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
And the big story on Action News?
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction, go with trust,
Go Birds!
and go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia Dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
All right, did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really, don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, go to left, fake 'em out. Mama, go up, mama!
She did it.
Again?
You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sales National Football Show. We appreciate you guys coming aboard hour number 2. Real quick before we get into the second phase of the topics here, please hit the like button, by the way. So I saw Nick Saban on Joel Klatt's podcast. He was talking about that he wants to have a contract with college players because of the nil rules. I said, well, then the players should have contracts with the coaches so that they just can't pick up and leave when they feel like. This guy's his head is in the sand. Well, you know, the players can go into the transfer portal anytime they want. Well, you can leave Alabama anytime you want for another higher paying job. That's Brian Kelly that. What's his commitment to the Notre Dame kids? What's his commitment? These coaches, man, what they don't like is they don't have control of their own roster anymore. See, coaches and politicians, they want to control you. The number one thing our society has been sheep to has been giving people autonomy to have control over you and me. Now that the players at the college level have some control of their destiny, coaches don't like it. Politicians don't like it. That's why we have pandemics and wars. It's a way to control you. Okay? It's a way to, very few coaches allow players to be players. I think that's why Nick Sirianni is an absolute 100% important cog. I'll take that back because I thought he was a librarian, and I give it to Tone. You know what? He's kind of the voice in the locker room for how the organization wants to conduct itself. And I think that's important. Look at a guy, and I've made this comment to you. Look at a guy like Greg Popovich. He has no connection with his players. the Spurs have blown since Tim Duncan left. I don't believe there's any coincidence to that. I think coaches are great, and they move the chains, move the sticks, just the same way Pat Riley does. I think when you have a culture in the building like the Eagles do, you're going to win no matter what. And that's what the Eagles do. Whether it's Andy Reid, Chip Kelly, or Nick Sirianni or Doug Peterson, they're going to win because they believe in what they're doing and their philosophy. And there's entitlement with the players. By the way, I don't know if we're going to get our friend Gary Cobb on this morning here, or this afternoon, I should say, at 4:30. So we may have to run through the tape with you guys. But tomorrow, Mike Gullick's going to join us. Gary Sheffield is going to join us on Wednesday, and George Foreman is going to join us on Thursday. So we got a big week lined up. We hope we catch up with our friend at 4:30, Gary Cobb. But if not, it's all good. We just haven't heard from him. Sometimes Gary just shows up, so it would be all good. And let's just move on with the topics now. I'm looking forward to talking to Mike Gullick tomorrow, and also with Gary Sheffield on Wednesday. When did the word culture become, I don't know what that word is, Barb. Okay. Here's the second topic now. We ended the show on this last week. And Tone, I wanted to bring this thing back a little bit here. In your opinion, which Philadelphia Eagle that was a first-year Eagle have the biggest impact? Maniac, A.J. Brown, or Hassan Reddick? Between those two, first-year Eagle, who made the biggest impact? We did this in the final segment, and I said, we got to bring this back. So we're going to bring this back. Who made the biggest impact on the Eagles' success last year? A.J. or Reddick? 16 sacks. A game-wrecking play in the NFC title game. A.J., career year. Big numbers. Who had the bigger impact? I got to say A.J., he unlocked the Eagles' offense. Didn't Reddick unlock the Eagle defense? They had 70 sacks. Second biggest total in the history of the National Football League to the 85 Bears. 70 sacks? I mean, what was the second team? 55? I mean, Reddick in the NFC title game? Reddick down the stretch? You think AJ was more of a pivotal guy than what Reddick was down the stretch run? Especially when Jalen got hurt? I'm not saying any question's wrong. By the way, these guys were both instrumental. But when Jalen got hurt, AJ was a non-factor, actually. He was a non-factor at the end of the season. Again, I'm not saying Tone's wrong. Because this guy was, you're right, completely looked different. So did Jalen look. Hey, Tone, when you say this, he unlocked Hurts. I guess if you're saying you unlock the offense, you're unlocking Hurts. Okay? Reddick was on ice skates in the Super Bowl. Not going to make an excuse for the field and shit like that, but so were a lot of guys. I'll tell you what, the most hated man in San Francisco right now ain't Jalen Hurts. It's Hassan Reddick. Hassan Reddick is the most feared guy in San Francisco when it comes to the Eagle conversation. It's not Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts didn't do shit against that Niner team. Hassan Reddick. How many plays? Am I wrong when I say this? Didn't it look like Hassan Reddick was like a running back for the 49ers in that NFC title game? I mean, Reddick destroyed the Niners almost single-handedly in a pivotal game, a conference championship game. Okay? I mean, the Niners didn't. Hurts was ailing. I'm not giving him excuses. Again, I'm just talking what was reality. Okay? Just talking reality. Hassan did nothing. Pure luck. What? Broke your quarterback's shoulders? Was constantly pressuring your quarterback? That wasn't the only time he was in the backfield, Niner all day. That guy destroyed your entire offense. Man, hey, luck is like a one-play thing. That guy was a force the entire NFC title game. Actually, the Eagle defense was a force the entire game. Okay? I mean, Hassan, hey, how about this? Hassan was part of the most important win of the year. That was the conference title game. And if I'm not mistaken, the game that clinched home field, he had a sack. He may have had 2 or 3 sacks in that game. Whew, boy. First year Eagle who had the biggest impact. 16 sacks. 1,300 yards. What player could the Eagles not afford to be without? AJ or Reddick? What a tough question. Dude got knocked out of the game in the first quarter. And then we confused the backup. Confused him. It was the game. How about this? I don't remember San Francisco getting past the 50, but maybe twice. Man. The offense can move pieces around. Philly line of scrimmage versus San Francisco's line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball look like a prison movie. Jack, that's not actually factual. You had your lowest offensive output versus San Francisco's front seven was 260. Short fields led to touchdowns, why it was 31-7. They were never going to do anything with the quarterback situation being what it was. But you weren't running the ball up and down the field on them. That's not true. You got the running game going a little bit more in the second half, but that's not factually true. It was actually going to be a tight game going into halftime if the quarterback doesn't drop the ball. But once again, you're talking about a guy in Josh Johnson who's been on 17 different teams. He was never going to help that situation. They were ill-prepared, the 49ers, once again at the quarterback position, to deal with any kind of drama that they would need in case something happened. And what gets me, okay, Forte, that's an absolute lie. The Devontae Smith play was a drop. He throws for almost under 100 yards in that game, in the NFC title game. I would say that he probably played better in the Giant game than what he did in the Niner game. That's not actually factually true. I don't think he had 200 yards in any game in total offense. Okay? The Niners kept it together as much as they could. You are not going to beat the Philadelphia Eagles with backup quarterbacks. That's not going to happen. Do you know what the most troubling thing about San Francisco's situation? Why'd you let Jimmy Garoppolo go? Okay? Why did you let Garoppolo go? Why would you let a guy go like that when you know that you're still answering questions on June 26th? Shit, I'll take a hurt foot Garoppolo over anything you have in your locker room right now. Why would you do that? So you moved off of a guy because why? For two lesser players. Get this, guys. Here's what the Niners did. They moved off of a winner for two lesser players who don't equal that guy at all. And they thought, or they think, so they'd rather go into the land of unknown with Trey Lance than the land of certainty with Jimmy G. Jimmy G could at least get you to the title game and actually could get you to a Super Bowl because he's done it. To sit there and say what you have now. So here's Brock Purdy. Too small a sample size. You can't sit here and go like this to me. Hey, Brock Purdy, man, he's going to be the guy. Too small a sample size. Shit, if I do that with Hurts, you surely do that with Brock Purdy. I see Niner people going like this. Hey, he's got to show us more. Dude, if Jalen Hurts has to show me more, Brock Purdy needs another full season for me to even make an evaluation on him. How do you know he's not Cooper Rush? How do you know that guy's not the next Cooper Rush? You don't know that. I don't know that. I know what you moved off of, though. Once you guys took that stiff Trey Lance out and you put Garoppolo in and then you made the move for Christian McCaffrey, you started winning ball games. And you started getting into a momentum. I mean, then you move off the guy in the offseason for, get this. So the 49ers have moved off of Jimmy Garoppolo for Sam Darnold and no play Trey. You're not prepared again for the 2023 season. You know what they're going to do? Do you know what the Niners are going to do? They're going to win a lot of games because you know why? Their schedule's not as tough as the Eagles. They could win home field advantage because there's going to be very few football games this year that the 49ers are going to really have to have an elite quarterback play elite. And they'll probably lose all them big games. That's why I say they're going to be around 12-5 somewhere in there. So they're going to get home. The Eagles are going to have to really man up and play really great quarterbacks. There's going to be stretches in the roster or in the season, I should say, that roster is going to be tested. And your depth, see, here, I don't know. And to me, this is how I look at Philly's season. Philadelphia was able to overcome a lot of things last year because of health. And this year, you don't have that luxury. You're not as deep. It's not whether or not you're as good. You're not as deep. And being deep is almost sometimes as important as being talented. I would rather have a top 5 roster, but the deepest roster in the NFL than the top roster and not depth. Because 1 or 2 or 3 key injuries on your team, your season's over. Your season's over. Here's what I'll tell you. Let's just hypothetically say this to you. If Jalen Hurts, God forbid, gets hurt in the first 4 weeks of the season, I don't know. I think Mariota could win 10 games, 9 games with that football team. I think he could win 9 games, 10 games. At least get you into the postseason. You get Jalen back, who knows? I think they can withstand it. And I think they can overcome it. If Kansas City loses Mahomes, they're a 4-win team. Think of that. If Kansas City loses Mahomes, they'll be lucky to win 4 games. The reason that the Cowboys were able to get away with Cooper Rush quarterbacking, NFC sucked, and everyone knew it. They could withstand it, and that's why they could go 4-1. If the Niners right now are like playing with backup quarterbacks as a starting quarterback. They got backup quarterbacks in the building there. They don't have starters. There's not one guy in that building that I would consider a starting quarterback. Not one. Some go, what about Purdy? I don't know. Think about this. The 49ers do not have a starting quarterback in their building on June 26th. You don't have a starting quarterback. You got to battle for it with Sam Darnold, Trey Lance, and you've already given the job to a guy who's injured. That's not being prepared. That's not being prepared. Jameson's like, yeah, you're right. The best quarterback in the building might be McCaffrey. That's frightening. How you could have a team with all that talent on it and not be ready to go they're not ready. But see, the NFC, they're gonna benefit kind of like what the Eagles did a year ago. They're not gonna have to play and kill teams with a quarterback throwing for 350. They're not gonna have to. They're not. They're going to get away with it. They were in the AFC, they'd win 5 games. If the 49ers were in the AFC with that shitty quarterback group, they'd win 5 games. They'd win 5. Mahomes would rip them apart again. I don't know how in the world you look at them guys and go like this. Twizzler goes, Dumbo Samuel fears Ed Reed Blankenship. I would say this to you, James. Who's throwing the ball to Dumbo? Who's throwing the ball to him? Grenade. Grenade throwing Josh Johnson. Come on, Niner. You got to bring it, dog. Dumbo Samuel still crying, he and his San Francisco 49ers. You know, all right. I got to answer this question. A.J. Brown or Hassan Reddick? Who'd you take, Tone? He says A.J. I'm probably going to go AJ too. I'm probably going to go AJ because Hurts benefited. Wide receiving core just was upgraded. He's so good in open space. I'll tell you what, and AJ Brown's the best wide receiver that you've had in the building since T.O. Okay? He is. He's the best. He's probably the best wide receiver you've had since Mike Quick. Yeah, I would say this in the last 30 years. It's probably it's probably T.O., Quick, Irving Fryer, AJ. I don't know. You could probably mix them all. You could probably put AJ second, third. Those are your 4 best wideouts. You know what's funny? Only one of those guys was drafted by the Eagles, Mike Quick. The rest of them were all rentals because your franchise is not very good at drafting wide receivers. Devontae looks like a home run, but quite frankly, Deshaun Jackson and Devontae Smith in the last 30 years. And don't give me the Pinkstons of the world and Dexter Jacksons and Deshaun Jackson. He was good. He was. But last 30 years, it's not like there's a plethora of wideouts in Eagle history. Okay? No, Steve, Deshaun, because also, too, he was a force on special teams. But as a pure wideout, I would make this point to you. Macklin, come on, man. He's a dude. Okay? Hey, Jeremy Macklin, Hunter Renfrow. I don't know. I don't see it. Thought he was fair. Dude, do you understand you only have to get 50 yards, 59 yards in today's NFL to have 1,000 yards receiving? Okay? So when you say he had a couple, who cares? 50 yards is not impact. FedEx, these guys are all dudes. Okay? And like I've said too, you know, it's funny when Tone, when Xander was producing the show, he couldn't believe the stat that I threw out, neither could Barrett Brooks. Eagles have never had a 1,000-yard wide receiver in the history of the franchise. That just tells you how limited you've been out there at the Y and Z. You've never had a 1,000-yard wide receiver. That's crazy for an organization like Philly. In today's passing game, once again, the Eagles have never taken truly advantage of the passing game. This 2022 team is the first time in Eagle history that you've taken advantage of the NFL rules being what it is and throwing the ball more. It's the first time in franchise history that it's becoming modern. You never ran a modern offense. You ran the ball through the tight ends, and that was it. And had one wide out that was functional. The rest of it, this was a tight end offense. And why was it a tight end offense? Because you believed in running the ball. Well, as you hear people now in the NFL today, like Melvin Gordon going, I'd hate to be a running back in today's NFL. Well, you know what's funny about that? So the Philadelphia Eagles are getting away from things still doing things that the league is trying to outrun. And they're still in it. Now, to many of your points, Sills, they didn't draft a running back, and they didn't invest a lot of money in running backs. It's true. It's true. They're putting more money in the passing game than any time in Philadelphia Eagle history. This is the first time maybe since T.O. that they've put money into the passing game. 2 tackles, huge money. Wide receiver, big money. Wide receiver, high draft choice, top 15 pick. That's a lot of money. Center, also big money. The majority of the money spent on offense and modernizing it. The Eagles have been behind the 8 ball and behind the game and the rules. I mean, here's one thing that the Philadelphia Eagles, I hope they get the benefit of this year. Here's something that I hope. Macklin 500 catches. Okay. 500 reception yards and 7,000 yards. That's not special in today's NFL. That's not special. That's not special. Not when you throw the ball 35 times a game. That's special back in the 70s and 80s when you're throwing the ball 20 times a game. That's not special. Dude, I don't give a shit what you say. Jeremy Macklin, if you put that guy's name, would not be in the top 150 wide receivers in NFL history. His name would never come up. Never come up. And you're throwing Jeremy Macklin at me? Dude, there's a guy in Denver. How many people have ever heard of Rod Smith? Rod Smith has got over 850 catches and almost 12,000 receiving yards. And he's not even considered for the Hall of Fame. He's got 12,000 receiving yards. No one's ever brought his name up for the Hall of Fame. And you're giving me 7,000? Smith was great. No one's debating him on being a Hall of Famer. Nobody. Okay? Nobody. Rod Smith was really good. I know. That's my point. I know. Well, Kyle, didn't Macklin play with – didn't he play with Donovan? Okay? Hey, look, dude, Jeremy Macklin would never be brought up in any name when it came to putting a roster together of the all-time wide receivers. He'd be 200. Because that position is deep. Not going there. This is the first time the Eagles have modernized the offense. They've never been a passing offense. McNabb's not even a 40,000-yard career passing guy. Okay? They've never modernized. They were never modern. They were always behind when it came to the NFL rules. And by the way, do you know what I hope happens? Do you know what I hope happens this year? What do I say? What do I mean by that the Eagles are still in the – they're not any longer. I don't believe they are. 2,000-yard wideouts, first time in franchise history, is a tremendous achievement. Okay? But for me, what's the one thing that Jalen Hurts didn't get credit for last year? What do you think? Keon, I will stop it. Jeremy Maclin bringing his name up to me as an all-timer is a joke. What's the one thing, Tone, that Jalen still has to get when it comes to being a quarterback in this league? What do you think he has to get still? What do you think Jalen Hurts still has to get? And what he has to work on? Jameson says consistency. That may have a little to do with it. Saying the Eagles didn't pass the ball is a joke. Keon, how in the world do you have a team in a franchise with no 100-yard reception guy on it? In your history. In your history. In your history. Swing pass. Hey, Jeremiah Seltzer is on fire today. Stumped him. Okay, Tone. What's the one thing that drives you freaking nuts in a football game? Is watching one of these elite guys get the benefit of the doubt on the deep throw when it comes to pass interference. How many freaking times have we watched Brady get the benefit of the doubt? And you go like this, there's not a chance in hell that guy catches that. He would never have run under that. But what happens? The rest, because they're so enamored by Brady, Manning, Mahomes, Burrow, Herbert, they get the benefit of the doubt on the deep throw when it comes to PI. The Eagles do not. Jalen hasn't built that up with the refs yet. He has not built that up. Okay? I think going into this year, he's going to get the benefit. I'd like to see more deep throws down the field. Let's see if the referees respect him. That's the respect level that those guys get that kid doesn't get still. You think the refs will see Hurts that way? They did last year. They did last year, Tone. Jalen didn't get a ton of calls on deep throws. Dude, I saw Brady overthrowing people. I saw Brady in a Carolina game. They called roughing the passer on him. Okay? I'll tell you what. You could have made an argument. That Chicago hit, I don't know. He didn't get the benefit last year or anything. And those dual threat guys don't get a lot of benefit. Ask Cam Newton. That's Michael Vick. Ask Steve Young. No, what I'm saying is, do you think he will get the benefit of the doubt this year? I think they're going to give him more of a benefit. But the only way that Jalen gets the benefit is if he throws the ball deep. And there's a lot of deep throws. That's high turnover plays, though. Okay, that's high turnover plays. The Eagle offense doesn't get benefit of the doubt on pass interference. They never. That's one thing. See, the refs. That's why you go like this. How's that roughing the quarterback on Aaron Rodgers? Rodgers gets that. How's that a Strahan sack? Strahan gets that. And Tone's right. He's going to go into this year, but the NFL referees are going to go like this. Well, is he gotten better as a passer? Is he winning games? His reputation. By the way, the 255, if I'm a referee, I'm going to – hey, I know this is going to sound crazy, but the 255, if I'm a referee, I might want to protect that guy a little more because obviously the Eagles think he's the face of the league, face of their team and their franchise, and the league likes him. Dude, refs think like that. Refs, what do you think they think? So wait a minute. You think when you go into a game with Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts, they look at both guys the same? Since when do you think that? So like a guy who runs a company in Philadelphia or Elon Musk walks in, you think the banker guy looks at the guy who runs Textiles of Philadelphia the same as he does Elon Musk? Use your brain. The Eagles get the benefit of the doubt in the trench. That's right. Dude, they're going to get the benefit of the doubt in the trenches because that's what they are and that's their identity. Okay? That absolutely is true, Tone. Lane Johnson has so much juice in the league. Absolutely. So does Kelsey. Those guys are getting the benefit. Like, watch this. Hey, Tone, to your point, Kelsey slips his hand up in there on a defensive tackle or a nose guard. Referee's going to look at it and go, I call that on a younger kid, but I'm not going to call it on him. You know why? He knows what he's doing. Same with Lane. Everyone's got a trick, dude. Hey, Yale, Tone, here's a trick that great players like Lane do. Lane will go like this. He'll look at the line judge who sits behind him. Sometimes the lane judge will sit over here, or sometimes he'll move over here. Because what a defensive lineman will do is this. They'll complain about, see what guys like Lane does, and guys like the great offensive linemen, you know what they'll do? They'll show the hand. They'll show the hand like this. And they'll show that hand, and you know what to do with this one? They're down under here because the guy's sitting over here, and on this side, he's tugging down here with this, and he's holding him. Guy will go, he's holding me. Guy will turn around on the other side. Lane will get a position on where the ref is, and the ref's sitting back there. The only time that you really get is the back judge that catches these guys holding. Not the line judge, because the line judge is watching from behind. How can you see from behind if you're in a position over here on the right when the offensive lineman is down? Everyone does it. By the way, it's gamesmanship. It's part of the league. That's what it is. But Lane and Kelsey get the benefit because they're Lane and Kelsey. Okay? Name goes like this. Remember, Slay says he holds all the time. Yeah, because you know why? He'll take the guy on the inside so he doesn't. What's the biggest fear that a corner has? Name, what's the biggest fear that a corner has? Inside release running down the middle of the field. Because you know why? If a guy gets a step on you towards the sidelines, at the end of the day, man, you'll get a pass interference, but you could always push the guy out of bounds because he can't come back in and make a play. Dude, that guy gets a free release running up the field and he beats you to the inside. So your number one objective is you trying to hold that guy here inside here because the ref was positioned over here. Darrelle Revis had a phenomenal technique doing that. Phenomenal technique. He was great at holding. Okay? Dude, right. Dude, that inside release down the middle of the seam is the biggest fear a corner has. Get inside release. Thank you. How come Joe Burrow doesn't get that treatment yet? Oh, I think Joe Burrow does get that treatment. Joe Burrow's been to 2 AFC title games. I totally think, dude, Joe Burrow's more accomplished than your boy. In a tougher division. Well, not tougher division, tougher conference for sure. And he's been to 2 conference title games. And he's turned around the shittiest culture maybe in the NFL. I mean, Burrow gets that. Can I tell you this? So you guys know, hey, Tone, I'll say this to you. I think Josh Allen's lost a little of that equity with the refs. I think he's lost equity with the refs. He's going to have to build that back. Because for me, me going into a game against Allen, there's a part of me that says, hey, he's going to have to sub somewhere in there. He's going to have to sub somewhere in there. He's going to do something. I mean, I think he's a better version of Cam. And, Cam won, and he's better. Allen's better than Cam. Okay? And they're both durable dudes. But Allen's got he's got a little flaw in his game when it comes to not being patient. You got to slow it down a little more. I think you got to slow it down, man. Right? And I think that's the number one objective that they have to do. By the way, way too much noise up there in Buffalo this year. Way too much noise. Jameson, I think Josh Allen's lost some credibility this year with the refs. You're not going to get the benefit of the doubt. Look, when you're out there on the field and you watch certain guys throwing the ball, hey, look, I'm going to tell you this. When Joe Montana was on the field, the referees acted like Moses was on the field. I'm not kidding you. And when another guy would come on the field, back in the day, Rich Gannon, not Rich Gannon Raiders, but Rich Gannon, Minnesota Rich Gannon. Dude, they didn't look at him like that. When Montana's on the field with them dudes, you're like, the referees are at attention. Do you think it was a mistake for the Bills to extend Sean McDermott to 2027? Too long. Too long. You gave him that much time? 5 years? Boy, tops, I'd have given that guy 3 years. I'd have given him 3 years. 5 years? Shit, dude. This guy would be another one of them coaches that they end up firing, and he's got 3 years remaining on his contract. All right. We are knee deep into – dude, I got a ton of shit to get to yet. Please hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Heading down the shore, have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wild wood days.
Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, Birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
EAGLES, Eagles.
What do you think the biggest game on the Eagles schedule is? I wrote this one down. Kansas City, November 20th, week 11. That's the biggest one for me. Dallas is built in. That, to me, is an image game. You haven't proven you can win the game yet against that dude. You don't win against elite quarterbacks. You got to beat elite quarterbacks to be an elite quarterback. Jalen doesn't beat elite quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers, okay. 38-year-old Aaron Rodgers wanted out of town. That whole thing was a mess. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is 4-time MVP. He'll be all right this year. Who else? Who has Jalen Hurts publicly beating when it comes to how the fans see him? I'm not saying it's right. Who's Jalen Hurts had a head-to-head against where fans who look at it like that, not right, but they do, and the media plays it that way, who's he beaten? He hasn't even beaten Dak in his own division. Who's he beaten? That's a big game for him. That's a big Eagle. I'll tell you what, the Chiefs lose that game, you're not going to think anything about the Chiefs. They've already got 2 Super Bowl championships. The Eagles win that game. That's a big moment for them. That's a big moment. Okay? It's a big moment. He beat Rodgers. So in 2 years, he's beaten Rodgers. Okay? I wouldn't call that special. Let's see what Aaron Rodgers has left. You guys were telling me a couple months ago he's finished. Now you're telling me he's elite. Which is it? To fit your narrative? Probably so. I still think he's an elite player. As a matter of fact, he didn't have a horrible year last year, so his team had a horrible year. Okay? Who's he beaten? So again, that kind of game right there at Arrowhead on November 20th, I think that's a big deal for him. He won't look at it that way because that's not how he sees shit. That's how the media and the fans, and most importantly, the league sees it. Dude, the league looks at Patrick Mahomes now as the Tiffany guy in the league, and he's the face of the league. No one's taking that away from him. Jalen Hurts can never take that away from Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes will be the face of the league for the next 5 years. No one's taking that from the guys. Again, until you put up wins, until you win big games, till you make your legacy in the postseason. Now, again, it's a small sample size. This is why, you guys like to rush to the table and put your chips in and say that Jalen's elite when he's played 1 year. And again, he's accomplished the same thing Garoppolo accomplished. That was getting his team to the final game. And he played enough and well enough in that game for them to beat the Chiefs. I mean, Patrick Mahomes didn't really play well in that Super Bowl against San Francisco. He had a great quarter. Other than that, he wasn't spectacular in that Niner game. go back and look at the numbers. He wasn't. I mean, he had a better Super Bowl against the Eagles than he did against the 49ers. I mean, go back and look at it. So, again, eagle eye. I'm not even debating that because it's an endless toilet bowl conversation. You think it? You think it. Great. Okay. Hurts will end up like Cam Newton already, similar careers. You think Cam threw the ball better than Jalen? I don't know about that. 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 I don't know if I would say that Cam Newton throws the ball better. I would have said that a year ago, but now I'm not so sure of that. Okay? I'm not so sure of that. Do you think Josh Allen has hit his ceiling? Absolutely not. I think Jameson, he's got to be reeled in more. I think he's got to be coached more. Okay? Philly, thank you, my brother. They beat him up in Charlotte. Neil, also, I don't think the referees knew how to officiate games that Cam was in. And I think the referees and the NFL, here, hey, Tone, I don't know if I've said this before, but to me, when you look at Cam Newton and Shaquille O'Neal, to me, they were officiated the same way. Between Hack-a-Shaq and Hack Cam in games, I don't really think the NBA refs and the NFL officials knew how to really call penalties against both guys. I just don't think they knew what they were seeing because both guys were so enormous and so athletically gifted, okay? Yeah, the league didn't know what to do with Shaq. Shaq was so enormous and so athletic. There's only two guys that ever – do you guys want to hear something crazy? There's only two NBA players in the history of the league that affected the paint. It was Wilt on the 3-second, and now they have a defensive 3-second because Shaq used to just camp out underneath and defend. Shaq and Wilt, okay, changed the game of how you defend as a big man and how you score as a big man. That's impact, my friends. Eagles beat Kansas City this year with no Bieniemy, Carter, or Smith. 85. I don't think Eric Bieniemy is a big deal. Whether he's there or not, I don't think it's a factor. I don't think it's a factor. I think Matt Nagy will do just as good a job, and I don't think it's going to be a factor. I think anybody who's the offensive coordinator in Kansas City gets Andy Reid coffee. Just like Andy Reid when he used to get coffee for Mike Holmgren. I don't think it has any. I don't think it has any factor at all. Like they're not going to. Like Andy Reid's not going to. The Kansas City Chief offense is not going to fall off because Eric Bieniemy's not there. Andy Reid's the play caller, play designer. He's the guy that sits there at Arrowhead in the offices, coming up with plays from 1938 or 1968, and then tries to implement them into his 2023 game plan. Okay? Bieniemy was in Kansas City not getting head coaching interviews. Yeah, because people looked at him and went, he's not a head coach. God, Big Red is. I'm not going to hire a guy when I know he's not the play caller. He's got nothing to do with the offense. He's in the meetings. He gets Andy Reid coffee, and that's it. What? Look, okay, so Andy Reid gets rid of Tyreek Hill and then Eric Bieniemy. You think that team's going to fall off? Come on, man. Give me a break. Gannon had interviews in his first year. Yeah, because he was a defensive play caller. I mean, hey, and plus you look at his, a little bit of his past, and you put the fact on how he was used in Kansas City. You don't think there's a coincidence? Hey, by the way, the defensive coordinator in San Francisco, he got a head coaching job. David Culley got a head coaching job. Robert Saleh got a head coaching job. Flores got a head coaching job. General manager also is African-American. An African-American actually fired Brian Flores. What happened in Kansas City? Because he's a black guy? I don't buy that. Now, if you want to go like this, Sills, do you think it's easier for white dudes to get job opportunities? I do. Personally, I say this to you. If Matt Nagy wins a Super Bowl as the OC in Kansas City, this is where you can come back and go, Sills, how'd that guy get that job in Tampa? How did he get that job in Tampa? How did Matt Nagy get that job? Well, because he's white. Absolutely. His third time around? No, dumb doubt. Here's where I will say about minorities getting held back. If you get fired once, your chances of being an opportunity to be a head coach again are slim to none. Leslie Frazier should be a head coach in the NFL. Jim Caldwell should be a head coach in the NFL. These guys are great coaches. Great coaches. Okay? Great coaches. They should get especially Leslie Frazier. I'm a big Leslie. I think Leslie's a really great coach. I think he's a great coach. Dungy did okay. That's about it. And I love coaching. You know that. Okay? Here's the things Tony Dungy did. He underachieved in Tampa, turned the culture around in Tampa, underachieved in Indianapolis with Manning. You win one Super Bowl with Manning, and Roethlisberger's got more Super Bowls in one destination than what Manning did, and his postseason's better than what Manning's was between Pittsburgh and Indianapolis. Though Ben Roethlisberger had a better postseason record than what Peyton Manning did. And you had all them Hall of Famers. You had all those Hall of Famers around you. You had all them Hall of Famers. And you win one. I get it. You're in the era of Brady. It's like Mickelson being in the era of Tiger. I get it. Okay? Big Seals, in my opinion, there's too much high turnover rate on the defense year in and year out for the Eagles to be a serious Super Bowl threat. You know what, though, G.I.? I think what Hugh Douglas has said is right in today's NFL. And I think he's right. I don't know if you have to have an 85 Bears or a gangrene defense any longer. Okay? And if you were going to spend your money and you were going to build your team, would you build it on the offensive side or would you build it on the defensive side? Especially here, I'll give you guys this. You want to hear, since 2000, do you know how many rules have been changed for the offensive side of the ball? 243. Do you know how many rules have been changed on the other side? The crackback block, and I think there's one other one. I can't think of two. They want high offense. They want the NFL to look like the Arena League, 58-51. That is gambling. Dude, 21-17, not a lot of prop bets. 58-51, a ton of prop bets. It's how you move the needle in game. Betting by quarter, how many touchdowns does Jalen throw in the first quarter? So defenses should be paid more. Why? The Eagles went about their business the same way. They got younger, more inexperienced, and cheaper. They weren't going to pay. Hey, look at what they did. Look at what they did financially. They weren't going to pay. Look how much money they saved. Here. Defensive B more? Tone, tell me if I'm wrong. They cut $4 million off of Fletcher Cox's contract. He went from 14 to 10. They didn't give Hardgrave 20. They saved $24 million, but now we're at $24 million. They saved $7 million on TJ Edwards and another $5 million on Kaiser White. That's $12 million. Then they saved another $8 million on Gardner Johnson. And Epps, they saved another $4 million. So in theory, 32, 36, 44, they saved almost $50 million off what they were paying a year ago. $50 million. Gee, doesn't that money kind of line up with Hurts' money? All the money that they took, what they saved this offseason. Oh, and they saved $4 million. I think Tone and I came up with $3.5 million off of the haircut that Slay. $52 million. $52 million they saved themselves on paying defensive players. $52 million? Jalen Hurts, $50 million. Interesting. 11. They didn't say $50 million. See? I just added it up. You saved $6 to $8 million on Gardner, 7 on TJ, 5 on Kaiser, 20 on Hardgrave, 4 on Fletcher. What am I missing? And another 3.5 on Slay. Come on, man. All right, let me take a timeout. Power Hour coming up. God, we still got a ton to hit on. Best cornerbacks in National Football League. Get this. CBS put a list out. I'll tell you who mine are. We'll do that. What else we got here? The top OTs were ranked by Bledsoe. I'll tell you who they think the top offensive tackles are. I think you got a good idea on who those men are. We'll do this in the Power Hour. Hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Google TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
And the big story on Action News.
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction. Go with trust.
Go Birds!
And go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia Dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
All right, did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, I go to left, fake 'em out. Mama go up, up, up.
She did it.
Again?
You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh.
EAGLES. Eagles.
For the record, I think the game of the year is going to be the December 31st game, Bengals and Chiefs. Power Hour, number 3. Please hit the like button. I think it's going to be Bengals and Chiefs. Burrow versus Patrick Mahomes. These two dudes here are the top 2 quarterbacks in the NFL. And anytime you get a matchup like this, and get this, Joe Burrow's done so much. Here, and no disrespect to Jalen, like I said, Joe Burrow has done so much for his franchise, 10 times more than anything Hurts has ever done. And I'll tell you where Hurts has done a really wonderful job himself. But this is the Bengals. They don't spend money. They don't get free agents. Nobody wants to play in Cincinnati. And he's made it now a destination and a winning destination. And he's gone to 2 straight AFC title games. He's been to a Super Bowl. He's changed a complete awful culture around. Completely changed it around. It's the Bengals. It's not the Eagles, who since 2000 have been the most dominant franchise in the NFC East. And arguably, you could make the comment they're the best franchise in the NFC since 2000 because of the front office and the way they do business. This guy went in there and changed everything. I mean, nobody, when you went to Cincinnati, you didn't think you were winning a Super Bowl. Now you do. And he beats, by the way, Burrow beats Mahomes. Jalen doesn't. He's had 2 cracks at him. Jalen doesn't. He does with Zach Taylor as his head coach. I don't know. It's awful impressive. Now, to Jalen's part, he calmed the waters, which were very rough in Philadelphia after the Wentz and Doug Peterson stuff. He calmed it. He did. He did. That's a credit to him. He gets massive credit for that. The stability in the front office, though, was always there. Okay? It was always there. They just didn't know if they trusted him. 255 million reasons why they trust him now to have calmed the waters down. But the Eagles were not a horrific front office or a terror show like you see in Indianapolis or Arizona. And nothing, not remotely even close to that. Not even close. Okay? Look at Bears. Hurts played great in both times he played against Patrick Mahomes. L's. You want kudos for losing? This isn't a bell curve. This isn't a bell curve. L's. I hate when I hear people saying, hey, I played great, but we lost. You sound like a diva wide receiver. Hurts doesn't even talk like that. Jalen would never talk like that. Only certain idiotic fans would. Played him great twice. What? That's the beautiful thing about sports. Most people in life try to put politics or whatever in it. See, you can move all them goalposts on elections and who won, who did it. Football, Baseball, basketball, hockey, scoreboards don't lie, and you can't move them. That's the greatest thing about, and that's why politicians and actors and actresses are all like drawn to athletes. You know why? You can't move the goalposts. There's no moving it. There's no moving it. No matter what you say. Like, people do this about Terry Bradshaw. Dude, Terry Bradshaw, man, had as many touchdowns to interceptions. Was he a Hall of Famer? You know what people say? You know what his quarterback rating was in Super Bowls? 4-0. That's all people care about. He was 4-0 and 2 MVPs. He called his own plays. That's all you need to know. Was he better than Elway? No, but he's got 4 Super Bowl rings and 2 Super Bowl MVPs. That's his quarterback rating, 4-0. Okay? Yeah, okay, man. Sure. JM goes, Bradshaw and Sims were cogs in the defensive machine. Yeah, you know what they did? They didn't make the tragic mistake turning the ball over. It wasn't about throwing for 50 touchdowns. It was not about putting your team in bad positions and bad field position. NFL football is a field position game. It's a field position turnover game. It's not about who throws for the most yards or the most touchdowns in a game. It's about the team that has the least turnovers and the best field position. That wins. That's what the Eagles did all last year. And then you happen to run into a special guy like the guy in Kansas City or the dude that used to be up in New England who wrecks all those rules. You see, that's what you have sometimes when you're playing in a sport. A guy like Gretzky who just breaks every rule on the planet. And it just doesn't matter. Jordan, it just doesn't matter sometimes. Okay? Sims always turn the ball over? He has the highest completion percentage in the history of Super Bowl play. I think he had 1 incompletion in Pasadena against the Bills. The fuck are you talking about? Sims turned the ball over. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. He was an MVP in that game. He had 1 incomplete pass, and it was a throwaway. Whatever. Hey, whatever. 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 Guy could always just go like this. See my ring? And my Super Bowl MVP ring. All right. Yeah, okay. And my Super Bowl MVP. Hey, real quick before I move on. Dude, I still got a ton of topics here. So I see Keyshawn Johnson got fired. ESPN, man, what a train wreck. ESPN Radio and Fox Sports Radio, which I helped start, they'll be lucky to be above. No, Fox Sports Radio stays. CBS Sports Radio sucks. Then again, anything CBS touched, and I'm talking to CBS Radio guys, they destroyed every network there is. Only WIP and WFAN in sports is decent. Great. Great. They get great ratings. They do a great job. The rest of them are horrible. CBS has driven the radio division completely into the toilet, where now they're going to be delisted by the New York Stock Exchange. It's trading at 1 cent. And then ESPN turns around, and now they fired Keyshawn Johnson in that morning show. They thought it was going to be easy to replace Mike and Mike. Well, guess what? And speaking of that, Mike Golick's on with us tomorrow. Okay? Okay, I mean, he's on with us tomorrow. Wasn't that easy to replace Mike and Mike, was it? I mean, Ringo and Mike were kind of good, was okay. I was tolerable. Listenable. Now, the thing that they had in there, that woke show they had, was completely unlistenable. Completely unlistenable. And ESPN more worried about the politics. They've driven that radio division into the toilet. And that's sad because Tony Bruno helped start that. He used to go back and forth from ESPN to WIP back in the day to help start that network at night. And Tony was really, I think Tony was one of the first hosts. And he used to do the night show on ESPN radio. And he'd turn around and do the morning show with Morgani and with Angelo. And he would do that. And he would do split shifts. Dude, I'll tell you this. May I ask you guys a question? I don't know, Tone, if you ever heard that show. You might be too young for it. How was Tony Bruno, Angelo, Morgani, and Rhea? How was that show in Philly? Was that the best morning show that they had on WIP? Was when Bruno was with Angelo Cadaldi? Do you guys remember? I may be dating myself here. Okay, I may be dating myself. MFK says it was fun. Dude, I tell you, I remember back in the day when I was younger, WIP was one of the very first. Who was the quarter? Hey, who was the guy who owned WIP? Who used to go on with Pat Summerall? Who was there was a football player. There was a football player that owned 610. And he was Summerall's partner before Madden. Who was the guy that owned it? What the hell was that guy's name? Oh, then he sold it to CBS. I forget that guy's name, man. Summerall, and it was one other guy that, and he used, that's it, Tom Brookshire. Thank you, Jack. Brookshire owned it and then sold it to CBS. Philly sports died when Angelo and Missinelli left. Dude, you guys had Angelo, Missinelli, and you had Howard Eskin. All three could start a barn fire. Oh, man. Hey, all three could start a barn fire right on the air. Hey, those guys could start barn fires. Come on. Can you hear Angelo now? Come on. Giving him credit. What is that? Come on. I don't even like Mike Miss, but he was good sportscaster. Of course, man. Of course he was. All right. Back into the topics here. The one Eagle that I'm going to be looking forward to having a breakout year will be who? I think mine will shock you. Mine will shock you. The one Eagle who will have a breakout year in 2023 will be, those that goes Derek Barnett. That's a spectacular take. Milton Williams. Kenny Gainwell. Man, Jordan Davis is the obvious selection, but that's not me either. Milton Williams, Kenny Gainwell, Derek Barnett, Quez. Wow, this is a bigger question than I thought. Quez, I got to write it down. Quez, Milton Williams. I like Milton Williams. Kenny Gainwell. Derek Barnett. I'll give you mine in a minute. Blankenship. God, guys are smart. Guys are smart and good. Dude, we have the best audience I've ever spoken to. I'm going to give you kudos. You guys are the best Sports, let me think. San Francisco was pretty good. KMBR 68 was a great place. WDAE was fabulous. We did more college, obviously, for reasons. Bucks, Jags, they weren't very good back then. Then I got to Miami. Dolphins suck. They've stunk forever. Nationally, Boston and Philly. I worked in Boston for 2 years. Get this. You want to hear something crazy great? Josh Sweat. I like that. You want to hear something crazy? How I'm talking to you every single day from my home studio. I used to do that at WEEI in Boston. Had the highest rated night show that they've had in the last 15 years. It doesn't matter where Big Sills talk sports. Okay? 2 years. They got guys wrapped around the building in Boston at EEI, and they wanted me. I was offered a 3-year contract to go up there. COVID hit. Yeah, offered. I wasn't ever fired in San Diego. Okay, I look it up. I stayed on with the company another 8 months after. Boston and Philly, you guys are the best. Holy shit, too, because you know why? I think I get more offended. I think I get more offended than what you dudes do because you come back the next day. Jack, I don't know you well enough to lie. You lie to women. You don't lie to dudes in the chat room. You got me wrong, Jack. Why would I lie to you? I don't know you from a can of paint. It's a little insignificant for me to sit there and have to come up and conjure up a lie. I'm not very good at it. So for me to lie, that's not going to cut it, dog. I don't know you well enough. I lie to people I know. I don't lie to people I don't know. Because that means I give a shit. Okay? Sills will be at the King of Prussia Mall, sponsored by Aunt Anne's Pretzels and Hooters. You bringing the pretzels, JM? Jack, I got you. Jack, dude, this is why I'm talking about you. I love how Sileo took down I have never taken down. I respect John McMullen. Not true, Chuck. Hey, Chuck, he called me a shock jock. What's that? I'm a shock jock? Look at Tone now. Tone's under his desk going, uh-oh, here we go. A shock jock? What's that? You have to care to lie. Do you? Okay. Well, then I got it backwards. Johnny Mac is a serious dude. Hey, he's been around, man. He's done great work in radio over the years. Absolutely. I like John McMullen, man. I think John does a great job for our network. Nothing but tremendous respect for John McMullen. Yeah, no, I like John McMullen, man. I got great respect. Okay, so wait a minute. Let me roll back on this. The Eagle will have a breakout year. Quez, Milton Williams, Kenny Gainwell, Derek Barnett, Blankenship, Josh Sweat. I love every one of those. But here's my guy. Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert. Dude, got to put up numbers if you're going to be considered the elite tight ends in the game. Kittle, the guy in Baltimore, Travis Kelce, all put up big numbers. He hasn't yet. You see it. We believe it. You watch it. Remember, the most important test that you have Don't let your eyes lie to you. You know he's good. Paul goes, Seals, you're going to make a trip to Philly? I think quite a few of them. Paul, we have now a new official home in the Philadelphia area. It's in King of Prussia Hooters. Coming this fall, that's going to be our home base. So we're going to be doing quite a few things with those guys. So everybody will be able to come up and have a few with us and sit around and eye-to-eye, Seals. And by the way, just so you know, they're as rare of appearances as Khabib in public. Big Seals don't go in public much, okay? I do not. That's not something I do. And I don't really care, but I'm going to because of our great relationship with Hooters. Goddard has to stay healthy. Would we not agree, Chuck? Would we not agree? Thank you, Jack. I appreciate that, dog. Would you agree? Hey, man, you look at Goddard and you're going like this. Okay, well, he's got to put up the numbers. Okay, he's got to put up the numbers. Keon goes, that's going to be interesting. Why? Why is that going to be interesting? Paul, that's good, man. Yeah. Hooters is now the official home of the Big Sills show this coming fall. And Phil Moran and those guys from Hooters, guess what he did? He called up every single dude inside the Hooters organization. He even called people in Atlanta, and they go, yep, he's legit. That guy brings traffic. That guy, every time, they've all advertised with me. Hooters has advertised with me for 35 years. Oh, Phoenix, too, I was on in. I was on in Phoenix, too. Yeah. Get this. Phoenix. Okay, Hooters has sponsored me in San Diego, Phoenix, Dallas, Tampa, Orlando, Miami, Atlanta, Jacksonville. Yeah. And now here. Yeah. Always been with me. 35 years. Sills, Eagle fans are hands going to be careful what you say when you're amongst us. I don't know what that means, man. I'm not threatened in any way. You kidding me? I hung out with Jerome Brown at a Klan rally, which that guy broke up. Okay? No. The Hooters girls are hands off. Now, I will say this, name brand. I dated the very first Hooters girl in the history of Hooters. If you do a live shot there, Xander should get you on at Oceans. Maybe working on that. I dated oh my God, I forgot to tell you Philly guys. I forgot to tell you guys. You guys know who Darren Dalton is? You guys obviously know who Darren Dalton is, right? You guys know who Darren Dalton is? Oh, my God. Hey, Yale, stop me if I've said this because do you guys know Darren Dalton? Okay. Well, Darren Dalton and I, great friends back in the day. God rest his soul. So he's with the Phillies, because my show was on in Tampa and he's hanging out with me. Then when I was, this started with us with the Bucks because Crawford Kerr introduced us. That's how I met Terry Francona. And then I got my show, and then Darren came on, and somewhere in there, he goes like this. Paul, get this. He goes like that. That's right, Neil. He goes, hey, I got to tell you something. You know who my girlfriend is? I said, no. If you guys can name the very first Hooters girl, you'll know who she is. I'm not going to say her name. But he goes, I'm dating you know who? And I went, really? She goes, no, she told me about you. I was like, she did? She goes, oh, no, yeah, she told me about you. I was like, well, what'd she say? Nah, look at you, Clutch. Get out of there, Clutch. So Lynn goes, yeah, Neil. So Lynn goes like this. You know why I like you two losers? You're both born on January 3rd. Lynn's got a mouth on her, man. She's fresh. Oh, my God. Love her to death today. What a tremendous girl, man. What a tremendous woman. I love Lynn Austin. She was the very first Hooters girl, and I dated her when I was with the Bucks. And Darren Dalton walks in, and he's got her with him. And I'm going like this in my studio at WDAE in Tampa. Hey, dude, I'm doing this. Look. I go, what are you doing here? Lynn goes, I'm marrying him. No, she goes just like this. Lynn Austin goes, I'm marrying him, asshole. I'm like, she goes, she's not changed. The Dalton said it. He goes, she's not changed. I go, I see that. You still got a fresh mouth on you, huh? So she comes, she loved to come on the show. She would talk shit. She's very, very good on the radio. I used to have her on all the time. She's very good. And during the season, Lynn and them, oh my God. When Dutch died, man, another guy, I mean, Jerome, Len Bias, Dutch, all these guys I knew, man, just tremendous. If you ain't first, you're last. It doesn't, hey, that shit right there, Niners, that shit never worked with Lynn. Okay? Because even Dutch would go like this. Man, Tone, this is the advice I tell you. If you marry a hot chick, just remember, you have pain for the rest of your life. Pain. Question marks on your dinner. Pain. And if you have kids, you'll never be heard of from again. You're like sent to the abyss. And if you want to be fat and you want to be loved, you marry a fat chick. If not, that's the only advice I can give you. It's the only advice I could give you. My hometown, Myrtle Beach, original Hooters location. The original Hooters location is in Clearwater, Florida. And I tell people some of the story that don't know the story of Hooters. The original colors of Hooters are Buccaneer creamsicle because it was a local bar. And when Ed Drotsky and Denise Williams and Bob Passwater decided to syndicate it, then they branched it out, but they kept the colors. They've kind of gotten away from the Buccaneer colors now, but forever and ever and ever, they had the Buccaneer colors and the creamsicle colors, actually, because it was founded in Tampa. Okay? Quan, you're a gift. You are a gift to the human race. Ugly wife, happy life. Jack, I should have took that advice. Seriously, man. I should have married some fat Italian chick and had a mustache bigger than me, and it'd have been a lot different. Name brand. Sills might be the most interesting man in America. Wasn't there a commercial to that? Wasn't there a commercial like that at one time, man? Okay. So listen, I say Dallas Goedert, man. For me, it's going to be my breakout guy. Dude, I want to see him with 1,200 yards this year. Dos Equis guy, that's it. I want to see him with 12 here. Is Dallas Goedert capable of this? 65 catches, 1,100 yards, and 9 touchdowns. You think he's capable of that? I do. Okay, I'm a cannoli. Sure. Thank you, Jack. Hey, Do you think Goddard is 65, 1109? I think he's very capable. I'm with you, Mateo. Hey, before I move on to this other topic here, here's what I think Devontae's going to do. Tone, I think you're going to like this. I think Devontae's going to get 101, 1,200. And I don't think he's going to have a high touchdown total because that's still going to be AJ. But I think he's going to be around 6 touchdown passes, 6 touchdown catches. I think Devontae's going to go over 100 catches. I think he's going to go 101, 1,206. Yeah. And I think you'll maybe see kind of them trying to get the ball more to Devontae this year. Okay? He's no Jeremy Maclin, but he can do his floor was set last year. Both of them have to surpass it. I don't know, man. You think he's going to be a 1,600-yard guy? Well, if Jalen plays both those games, Yale, maybe he would have went over 15. Probably so. I'm talking AJ. Hey, how about this? If Jalen plays both those games, those guys probably both go over 100 catches. Those guys probably both go over 100 catches. If they do that. All right, real quick here. I wanted to, and you know what? I did something on this list here that I traditionally don't like to do, but I did something on this list here that I just don't think there's better players. CBS came out with the best corners in the league. And then I put my best corners on the league to see if they matched up. I didn't realize the Jets have the best corners in the game. Okay? We both agree on Sauce Gardner from the Jets. He's shown me in a small sample size that I think he's got all the capabilities of being something exceptionally special. And I think he is right now technically sound, and he's physically sound, and he's better than I thought when he came out of Cincinnati. I agree with you, Dosa. Hey, Dosa, CBS does hate the Eagles. I completely agree with you. And it's because I think Pete Prisco really likes the Cowboys. We both have Patrick Surtain, number 2. Denver corner. Little different here. CBS has Jalen Ramsey at 3. Man, he was beaten a lot last year in Los Angeles. I have Gerard Alexander, Green Bay, as number 3. I think he's a really great player. CBS has Darius Slay 4. I have Jalen Ramsey 4. I don't think they're that far off. CBS has Alexander 5. I have Slay 5. Number 6, CBS has DJ Reed, Jets, at 6. Dude, the Jets have some great corners here. I didn't realize that. I got Marlon Humphrey from Baltimore at 6. I think he's a better player, not by much. CBS has Marlon Humphrey at 7. I have DJ Reed at 7. So we just flipped there a little bit. At number 8, CBS has Diggs. I have Diggs at 8. At 9, J.C. Horn, Carolina. We both have him there at 9. And at 10, Stephon Gilmore, Cowboys. And I have Gilmore at 10 also with the Cowboys. So there's only 2 teams, really. I mean, I don't have Bradbury on here. You could debate Slay, but for the whole season, if you put it together, he was one of the better corners. Like I said, though, last 6 weeks, I didn't think he was. But for 17 weeks, he was. That makes sense to you. Okay? So, I mean, I think Latimer and Bradbury are right outside. Okay, I think they're right outside the 10. How about this? You could debate Bradbury. Dude, I still think Stephon Gilmore's I still think he's got juice. I still think he's got juice in the tank. Niner goes like this. Where's Bradbury? Well, you ain't got a corner on this list. Okay, and I don't know if you got a corner in the top 15. Okay, I mean, I don't know. You got a top corner in the 15. So I'd debate Lattimore over Diggs. He's a good football player. He is. There's no doubt Marcus Lattimore is a great player. Okay? There's no doubt about it. He is. All right. Hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wild wood days.
Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, Birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing, the second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs, and then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
EAGLES, Eagles.
So Miles Sanders got $7 million. Am I right? Dude, that deal looks pretty awesome right now. You got all these superstar running backs on the open market right now, and they got to pick and choose like their best destination, plus not taking such a gigantic haircut. This guy got $7 million, 3 years, $21 million. Is that what he got? Did he get that deal? So if you think about it, outside of what? Derrick Henry? Is Miles Sanders the highest paid running back in the NFL right now? No, McCaffrey. McCaffrey, Henry, and then who? Kamara? Who would make more than $7 million? I'm trying to think of the backs that are like Dalvin Cook is not on he's not on contract right now. Right? Can you think of anybody else that's making more than Miles Sanders? Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, possibly Kamara, and then who? Zeke's been whacked. Nick Chubb might. I wonder what Chubb makes. What is Nick Chubb's 2023 salary? He makes 10. He's got a 10 base, 14 million. Okay, so Chubb makes a lot of dough. Sanders was the 11th ranked average salary amongst running backs at $7 million. Dude, I can't think of average is 6.35 per. Man, there's backs out there making $7 million. You know what? I'll tell you this. I bet you this, Tone. The guy in Los Angeles, what's his name? Austin Eckler probably makes a big number. Okay. Damn, James Conner makes $7 million bucks. Dude, I'd cut him in a minute and bring in Dalvin Cook. James Conner makes $7 million? Dude, if I had anyone, dude, I'm sorry. Hines makes 6.2. So far, Tone has put down two guys that I would fire in a minute for Dalvin Cook. I would take both Connor and Hines over Zeke. But, wow. Holy cow. Yeah, well, I'll say this to you then, Tone. With Zeke and with Zeke and Dalvin Cook being fired, Miles Sanders is a top 10 paid running back. He's a top 10 guy now. If he was 11th, he's one of your top 10 guys. What a deal he got. $7 million from Carolina. I wonder what they're thinking now, because to me, these dudes right here are not in Dalvin Cook's room. Shit, man, I'm talking about Barkley. Barkley wants $14 million? No way. No, thank you. I'll pass on that. I would pass on him. I'm not giving you $14 million, bro. If I'm going to overpay for a position, it ain't going to be a running back. I'm going to overpay for a quarterback. And that's what the Giants did. So now you're going to overpay for your quarterback and your running back? No way. How are the Giants going to get around that? So wait a minute. You actually think somebody would give Barkley $14 million if he just became a free agent? Like who? Who with a big-time quarterback is going to pay for? Kansas City would never. Think about this, guys. Kansas City would never pay $14 million. Cincinnati would never pay $14 million. Buffalo would never pay $14 million. The Chargers would never. Seattle would never. The Jags would never. All the teams that are contenders are not going to pay that number. Okay? The only reason that you would pay that number is because you have an inefficient quarterback. And if you have an inefficient quarterback, like get this, Chicago Bears might, because they have to help the kid up there. But if you have a quarterback that's worth his weight in gold, you're not paying $14 million for a back. 7's probably tops now. Wow. Who would have thought of all the positions in the NFL, the running back position may actually be the one that goes down in value when it comes to putting salaries together and building rosters. Like, hey, that's a really great exercise. How much would you spend on a top flight left offensive tackle? And we're going to look at that here in a minute. How much would you spend on a left tackle? $25 million? $20 million? Let's just say $20 million. 20? How much you pay for a great tight end? 20? 50 is a going rate for quarterbacks. Wide receiver, 25? Edge rusher, 20? Corners, 20? Running back, 7? What Tone said months ago about premium positions, those salaries have all escalated. And the other ones, defense, look at the defensive tackle position even. These guys are making in excess of $20 million. Okay? Some teams aren't going to go with that philosophy. They'd rather pay edge rushers and corners. Laramie Tunsil is the highest paid left tackle in football with an average salary of $25 million. Trent Williams is second with 23. That's a great lead in. Jeremy Tunsil, the guy with the gas mask. One of my favorite scenes in draft history. Takes that gas mask off. Hey, Tone, this guy takes that gas mask off and goes, I'm going to Hall of Fame, man. Either the Hall of Fame or the bank. Maybe both. Hey, isn't it great? That gas mask never affected anything. His salary, his earning potential. It never affected anything. CBS offensive tackles, Trent Williams is 1. I have him as 1. Razor thin with Lane, 2. Both Pete Prisco and myself have Lane 2. Very thin line. Okay, I think it's very close. CBS has Laramie Tunsil 3rd from the Texans. I have Tristan Wirfs from the Bucks 3rd. And CBS has Tristan 4th. And I have Tunsil 4th. We both have Andrew Thomas from the Giants 5th. CBS has Teron Armstead from the Dolphins 6th, the former Saint. I have Jordan Mailata at 6. So the Eagles have the number 1 and number 6, according to me, best tackles in the game. Whew, wow. That's awesome. 8, Rashawn Slater, CBS has. I have Teron Armstead 8. I have Slater 7th. 9th is David Bakhtiari, CBS. I have Penei Sewell, Lions. And we just flipped there. And Pete has Penei Sewell 10. I have David Bakhtiari from the Packers 10. Wow, the Eagles have 2 of the best offensive tackles in the top 6 players at the position. Dude, that is so good. That is so good. Hey, tomorrow we will have on Mike Gullick. On Wednesday, we're going to have Gary Sheffield. Thursday, we are going to have our friend George Foreman. So we got a big week lined up here for you. We really appreciate you guys hanging tight. You guys were awesome. what is it, 29 days as of today, tomorrow, 28 days until the start of training camp. By the way, you want to know something cool? When the Eagles report to training camp, that's my daughter's birthday, July 27th. So that's a big day, man. Football and cake. Remember something. Never get a slice, Tone. Always get a hunk. Nobody gets slices on this show. Everyone gets a hunk. Xander, Big Joe, thank you guys so much. We love all of you. Please hit the like button on the way out the door. Tone, keep doing your fabulous job. You are absolutely sensational as always. Thank you again. 3 to 6 tomorrow. We'll catch you on the flip side.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Google TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
And the big story on Action News?
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.